Hello, welcome. We are in Genesis chapter 23. Last time we were talking about the trial of Abraham and the story of Abraham and Isaac and how Abraham showed how mature his faith was. But now we are going to learn about the death of Sarah. So chapter 23 verse 1. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died at Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and wept for her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, I am a sojourner and foreigner among you. Give me property among you for burying place, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The Hittites answered Abraham, Hear us, my Lord, you are a prince of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of your tombs. None of us will withhold from you his tomb to hinder you from burying your dead. Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land. And he said to them, If you are willing that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat me for me Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. It is at the end of his field. For the full price let him give it to me in your presence as property for a burying place. Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, of all who went in at the gate of his city. No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the sight of the sons of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed down before the people of the land. And he said to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, But if you will hear me, I give the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Ephron answered Abraham, My lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights of current among merchants. That was actually your typical Middle Eastern bargaining. So from the scriptures, it seems that this was the only estate that Abraham has ever bought. Now, they reckon that Ephron had no intention of giving the land to Abraham. It was just more of a custom to drive a hard bargain, if you will. And it was surprising to everyone that Abraham paid the 400 shekel, because they reckon it was actually an extortionate price. Now, I read that the reason might have been that Abraham did not want to be indebted to them, to Ephron and the rest. Now, and the Hittites. And they say that us believers shouldn't be indebted to others either. And the reason is, I think, is because think about it. If you're indebted to non-believers, they might, if you owe a favor, let's say, they might ask the favor back in a way that is not fitting for a believer. They might ask you to do something that is not fitting, that might violate your conscience, and what are you going to do? It's really difficult to really ascertain what would be the best course of action if someone asks you that, because it's sort of expected of you if you owe a favor to someone. That's why they say that you shouldn't owe a favor to non-believers. Again, Paul was saying in 1 Corinthians 5 that there were lawsuits between believers. So I think 1 Corinthians 5 or 6 that there were lawsuits between believers. So again, yes. But hopefully we believers are still treating better each other than and we would have, when it comes to bargaining between one another, it would be a safer way, one would hope. Verse 17. So the field of Ephron in Machpelah, which was to the east of Mamre, the field with the cave that it was in it, and all the trees that were in the field throughout its whole area area was made over to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites before all who went in at the gates of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, east of Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that it is in it were made over to Abraham as property for burying place by the Hittites. Now they reckon that it's not just Abraham who's it's not just Sarah who's buried here, but also I have a list here. It's also Abraham, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Leah. But apparently, according to tradition, there is a mosque now in its place. And it made me think that, Abraham, his wife died. They spent a lot of time together. But from a previous chapter, we learned how much Abraham's faith matured. And it made me wonder that how he took the death of Sarah. Now, don't get me wrong. I think, everybody takes death in a negative way. But did he have the faith to say that, yes, my wife's died, but I will see her again? And I remember I had a teacher, I think it was the first year of college, and he said that he had so many children, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, but he said, and then 2, 3, I think it was 2 or 3, are waiting for us in heaven for us to arrive, me and my wife. And it did make me think that, can you imagine that he had so much faith that he was able to see things from this perspective? And again, I always say this, look, I do not want to be tried like that. But I remember a preacher, a woman came to our church once to preach on something, and she was talking about how she and the husband lost a child and they were able to get over it. And she said that without even any negative feelings towards God, or without any like lingering sadness, if you will, they were able to overcome this because of that faith they had, because they know that they were going to see the child again. It's just a matter of time. And I'm really hoping that none of us will get into a situation like that. But if God forbid something like that happens, I'm really hoping that we will be able to, after a while at least, react to a situation like that where we lose a loved one. We all have lost someone, even at least, grandparents or something. But when it comes to it, I'm hoping that we would be able to see it from that perspective. If the person was a believer, then yes, we are going to see them once more. Amen.